Hi, it's Elaine from Penguin Place Crafts, and it's Tuesday. Tackle It Tuesday, as named by Shannon over at Another Yarn. On Tuesdays, she goes through some baskets, bins, bags that have been in her house for years, and she knows because they moved to their house 3 years ago, and some of the stuff has not been touched since they moved. She'll go through her basket and look at these old works in progress and try to figure out if she wants to continue on with them or if she wants to frog them or what she's going to do. Well, I do Tackle It Tuesday a little differently. I make a list and I tackle the list. I've done pretty well today. I finished 2 projects, including one kit that was a work in progress that was driving me crazy, but I persevered and I finished it. And I got caught up with some paperwork, typing up lists and updating spreadsheets. And guess what? I made a mistake regarding how much I made at the last show. I said I made no profit, that I broke even, that the show was $40 and I sold $40. The show was only $35. So I made $5. $5. Ah, I'm rich. You see, I'm keeping my sense of humor about this whole thing. The next show will be better. It will be closer. It will be better. Yes. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So one thing that I did today, I went over my master list and I retyped it back into a Word document where I listed the 32, is that 32 or 22? I got my notebook all the way over there. The 22 items on my restock list, the 13 kits that I have left, the 9 items left in my Grand Ami venture that I want to make, the 7 items on my want to make list, and the 7 items on my bought not used list. I typed them all up and I put them in the spinning wheel of names, gave that a spin, and the first thing that came up was from my Grand Ami venture. Now that is where I showed my granddaughters some patterns and said, okay, you pick out what colors I'm going to make this. So for this one, I'm going to make Sharon Ojala's Little Bigfoot Puppy. It's a pattern that lends itself very well to being like a patchwork or a color block project. So okay, here you go, kiddo. Pick the colors. There are a lot of colors in this bag. She said the head of the dog, she wanted to be turquoise. The head and the muzzle. She could have made a separate color for the muzzle, but she wants the head and the muzzle to be the same color. The body, I didn't bring that color back. That color's out by the chair. Oops. The body is light pink. The arms are going to be blue and a darker pink. The legs are going to be red and green. The ears are going to be yellow. And the tail is going to be brown. So, I'm going to have fun with those colors. Going to have a lot more colors out in my scrap bin when I'm done with that one. And then I figured Okay, I should pick 2 at a time just so that I don't get bored with working on just one more project, because I'm down to 3 works in progress. The boggy blanket, which I haven't touched, and now the weather's getting cooler. I need to start working on that again. The bear kit. I did pick up the bear kit, and I made the muzzle. I took yarn back here. The muzzle was where the yarn was missing from the kit. I made the muzzle from yarn from here and sewed that on, and I made another ear. So now I need to make the body, which starts with the legs and works up the body, and the arms, and then that there's not all that much left to do with it. So if I just pick it up every day and do just a little bit, eventually I'll get there. And the purple dragon, which I finished the head, and it doesn't look like the picture, but maybe there'll be some facial shaping that will whip it into shape. I don't know. I'm sort of scared of that. It's extended single crochets and a lot of increases and decreases for shaping, and I'm afraid I'm just messing it up, but I need to forge ahead and still work on that. Okay, so only 3 projects in the works in progress basket. We'll take it up to 5, and then I'll have more of a selection to choose from. At one point I was like, 1 work in progress, that's it. Now it's like, this one is tiny little yarn, I can't work on this very long, I need to go to worsted weight. So having different weights of yarn to switch off does help. So where's the other? The next one that came up on the spinning wheel of names was from my restock list. I'll show you the colors, and I bet you can guess what I'm going to be restocking with this. Did you guess? Huh? Did you? Bees! Yes, I also need white. I figured for the wings, I could just double up on worsted weight because I don't have Bernat blanket in white. So, and the wings can be sort of lacier than the body. That actually would work out rather nicely. So I will make bees until I run out of one color or the other. If I run out of the yellow, I do have some more. Oh, it's right there. I do have some more yellow Bernat blanket from the, what are they called? Yugos? Go-Go's? Those round things? The round Bernat blanket packages that they had them at Big Lots. And I went to a Joann's store way up north, and I just ran into Big Lots to see if maybe they had something. And they had that, and oh, is it not showing? There's also 1 pound Red Heart with Love, I think. Oh, they're not up there. They're okay. This right here is orange 1 pound skeins that I also got at Big Lots, and I think they came down to like $2 or $3. So I still have those. And where was I going with this? Okay, I was telling you I have more yellow. So, what did I finish today? For one thing, I finished my first project for Crochet Roulette 2025, which is by Tracy over at Travel Crochet. This week's theme is space. This week's color is red. Sounds like Sesame Street. This week is brought to you by the color red. So, my little red spaceship blasted off this morning. I still have 2 more red projects that I want to do. Both of them are probably about this size. So they're not going to take me all that long. And once I get all 3 together, I will email her a picture of all 3 with the details like where I got the pattern and what kind of yarn I used. Well, all of the yarn is miscellaneous worsted weight yarn from my stash. Most of it, I do not know what brand it is because it doesn't have a label anymore. That's the way things roll around here. And then I finish something else. Where did I put that? There it is. I've been saying that a lot today. Where did I put that? Where did I put that? Where did I put that? The kit for the Red Heart Lion. This used a thin cotton yarn and a 2.5 hook. It split terribly. Now, the Faded Wildflower put up a video where she asked people for tips about how to handle it if your yarn is splitting. So I went back and checked that out again. One of the things was feeding your yarn through a bead or like a buttonhole or something like that, so you're holding the yarn together and not giving it as much a chance to split. I tried that, but I couldn't really. It's very thin yarn and the holes were sort of big, so I don't think that was really accomplishing holding it together all that much. I would have needed a smaller bead or a smaller buttonhole, and I didn't have that. Another thing was try a different hook. This is the hook that they sent me. And I tried another 2.5 hook from another kit that helped a bit. And I don't know if I could even get you to see it. I mean, this hook that they sent me, it has like a ridge, almost like it was stamped and there was a line where the sides of the mold met and they didn't file it down enough. So there are some rough edges right up here. So changing to another hook helped. She'd also said something like, try pulling from the other end of the skein, that the way the things are twisted, if you work from one end, one end you're pulling it in one direction, and that might be the direction it untwists. So try pulling from the other end, and that seemed to help. When I got to the head, and I did the head, I was pulling from the center of the cake instead of the outside. Actually, I couldn't pull from the center of the cake. I could not find the center of the cake that came with that pattern. So I just put the yarn into a little bowl and took it on the yarn winder and rewound it so that I could get to the center. Now the center was the outside of the yarn cake. So I put that on my little spinning jenny and one of those wood things. Looks sort of like a banana holder. A long curved thing with a stick coming down. I put it on there and was feeding off that. And when I was doing the head, I had significantly less snags. But then with all those factors the same, the new hook pulling from the same place, when I did the arms, I ran into more snags. So I'm very glad to be done with this yarn. I remember when I was showing you this at first, I said I did not like the fact that the mane was the same color as the lion. Like, no, it doesn't look right. So I pulled some yarn from my stash and I gave him a nice light brown, my whole box of skinny little yarns from doing kits that has come in handy. We had a replacement color for his mane. So there he is. Also, they wanted you to embroider little eyes and little eyebrows. little round eyes. That doesn't go well with me, so I just gave him little eyes. And there's his cute little tail. And they had a different thing for the tail. They wanted you to chain 6 and then sew it on. It's like, well, if you do that, then you don't have the little foofy part on the end. So I took I took one strand of yarn, pulled it through, and then made about 6 single crochets using both strands of the yarn, tied it in a knot, trimmed it, and then fluffed it out. So he has a nice little fluffy thing at the end of his tail, because that's the way it should be. So I'm not going to pull another kit until the spinning wheel of names says that I can pull another kit. And the spinning wheel of names. And let's see, first it did the bees, I think. Okay, I do bees. And actually, it pulled up a kit that was, you crochet a basket and then you crochet all these coasters that fit into the basket. And I was just like, no, I have patience for that right now. I want to work on something in worsted weight. So I spun again and I got the Grand Ami Venture. What did I say his name was? Little Bigfoot Puppy by Sharon Ojala. And that should work up quickly because all the pieces are fairly small. And, well, the head's sort of big. I haven't made one in a while. I made one once, and I made the puppy, and I made a little blanket for him, and I made a little bone for him, and I made a bed for him. And I tried to sell the whole set together for like $26, because I figured it looked like $16, 16 or 18 for the puppy, and then 4 for the bone, and 6 for the bed. So I had it all figured out. And somebody came along and said, I don't want the bed and the blanket and all that. I just want the puppy. How much will you sell the puppy for? So I sold that puppy separately. Then I made another puppy, and eventually somebody bought the whole set, thinking that it was adorable. Thank you for agreeing with me. I don't like when people come along and say, oh, I don't want the whole thing. Break up the set. In some cases, I will say no. No, I'm keeping the set together. And in some cases like that, it's like, yeah, I can make another puppy. But if I don't want to make another, if I don't have the yarn to continue with the matching, to make another for the matching set or something like that, I'll say, no, sorry. I'm keeping the set together. Am I that difficult a customer? I'm trying to think. When I go out shopping, do I make special requests like that? When I go out to eat, I do. Because I have to request gluten-free. In that case, I am a picky, demanding customer. But I've got a reason for that. If I have gluten, I'm going to be pretty miserable. I want to avoid that miserable condition. With some people, it's just like, I don't want to spend that much money. Well, then, here's some other dogs over here. No, I want that dog. I just don't want to pay for the whole set. Well, the whole set is the cuteness. Okay, I'm going off on tangents. My tea was cold, but now it is done. It was a decaf chai with caramel creamer. And it was pretty good when it was hot. It was sort of good when it was cold. I should have finished it a long time before that, but it is time to go work on dinner. Tonight we are having lamb chops, Greek potatoes, salad. Is that it? Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's enough. So once I get everything the potatoes cut up. The most time-consuming thing for Greek potatoes, you've got to cut them all up, dice them all up into little pieces, and coat them in butter. Like you melt some butter and you're like coating the potato in the butter, and then you toss it into a flour, gluten-free flour and spice mixture, and shake it all up so the potatoes have this coating on them, and then they bake for like 45 minutes. Once I get them in the oven, I put the lamb chops, toss them in a pan, salt, garlic, oregano, a little bit of water in the pan. There we go. But cutting up all those potatoes is the most labor-intensive thing about dinner. Once I'm done with that, I can go sit in my chair, let the timer tick down for 45 minutes, and work on projects. I liked it. I like dinners like that. Yeah. Either tomorrow or Thursday, we're having a turkey. That's another thing. Put it in the oven. Forget about it. Just let it cook. Turkey, squash, probably mashed potatoes. But for those, I can always cheat and use the Idaho mashed potatoes. Boil 2 cups of water, dump the powder in, you got potatoes. Sometimes I do regular mashed potatoes, but a lot of times with just the 2 of us, I just go the easy route. Okay, the sooner I get my potatoes in the oven, the sooner I can play with yarn. So I'm going to say bye-bye.